Imagine being stuck in a subway hallway where every wrong move resets reality, and the only way out is to spot tiny, creepy changes before they consume you. That's exactly what happens to our main character in this movie. The movie opens from the POV of a man in a crowded subway when a baby suddenly starts crying loudly. One passenger gets so irritated that he yells at the baby and scolds the mother for bringing a child on the subway during rush hour, while everyone else stays glued to their phones. Moments later, the man we're following gets a call from a woman, declines it, and exits the train. He then receives another call, which he reluctantly answers, and tells the woman he's heading to work. She turns out to be his ex-girlfriend, and she drops a bombshell. She's in the hospital and has just found out she's pregnant with his child. She wants his input and asks what she should do, but he is gripped with panic and left completely speechless. He asks where she is and says he wants to visit her, but she tells him not to bother, saying she has already made up her mind. She reveals her decision, but due to the poor signal, he can't hear her, which makes him even more anxious. As he rushes through the underground passage to catch his next train, the signal dies and the call cuts off completely. Just then, he notices an overhead sign that reads Exit 8 and a strange older man walking past. He keeps going and soon reaches a wallboard showing Exit 0, but seconds later he somehow finds himself back in the same spot as before, facing the same old man and the same overhead sign. The cycle keeps repeating, and no matter how far he walks, he ends up in the same hallway with the same sign and the same old man. At this moment, we finally see the face of our protagonist, who is known as the Lost Man. He realizes he's stuck in an endless loop and must figure a way out because no matter how much he walks, he always returns to the same central hall. At one point, the lost man tries to turn around to see the old guy more clearly. The old man's face twists into something grotesque, and the lost man bolts away in panic, but still ends up in the same hallway. He sees the older man approaching again, panics and runs the other way, but it leads him right back to the same place. Next, the lost man desperately tries to pull the emergency alarm, but it doesn't work. He tries to open nearby doors, but all of them are locked. Seconds later, he notices blood on himself and realizes it's actually dripping down from the overhead sign. Terrified, he runs in the opposite direction and discovers something different. The wallboard now shows Exit 1, whereas before it showed 0. He also finds a poster giving instructions, warning him to stay alert for abnormal situations. If no abnormalities occur, he must leave through the exit and not turn around or look back. But if there is an abnormality, he must immediately turn around and go back the way he came. The lost man continues walking and soon arrives back at the central hall, where he notices the blood is now gone and realizes it was just an anomaly. When the same old man walks by, the lost man asks where Exit 8 is and what exactly counts as an abnormal situation, but the old man doesn't respond. The lost man keeps moving and is stunned to see another wallboard showing Exit 0 again, making him feel completely trapped and confused. Even so, he continues walking and tries to remember every little detail to spot any abnormalities. He takes photos of his surroundings to compare them and even snaps a picture of the old man who keeps passing by. He soon reaches the wallboard showing Exit 1, which means he now has 7 more exits to go before he can escape. Unfortunately, when he gets back to the central hall and checks his phone, he's shocked to see that all of the photos have been corrupted and turned into yellow static. Frustrated, the lost man carefully studies everything around him, trying to spot an anomaly, and finds nothing out of place. But when he turns around, he is horrified to see the old man standing right behind him, smiling with a chilling grin. The lost man remembers the rules and realizes this is an abnormality, so he immediately heads back instead of going forward. The old man follows him with that grotesque smile, so the lost man breaks into a sprint. Thankfully, this works, and he finally notices the wallboard now says Exit 2. Next, he arrives at the central hall again, checks each item very carefully, and doesn't see any abnormalities at first. But as he's about to leave, he hears a baby crying from one of the lockers, which deeply unsettles him. He tries to open the locker but quickly realizes it must be another anomaly. Then, from inside, something unseen slams violently, making it clear he should not open it. He turns around and walks away. As expected, it was an anomaly, and he reaches a wallboard that now says Exit 3. Because of his stressful situation, the lost man starts having an asthma attack and coughs violently, but he manages to calm himself and keep going. He returns to the central hall, carefully checks everything, and finds no anomaly. He then tries to take his inhaler out of his bag, but suddenly notices that all the portraits on the wall are creepily staring straight at him. Terrified, he quickly turns around to leave. Once again, it works, and he sees the sign for Exit 4, meaning he's halfway there. This time, there are no abnormalities, so he continues his journey. He soon reaches the 5th exit, which fills him with hope that he might finally escape this nightmare. Back at the central hall, he doesn't see anything unusual until his phone rings. It's his ex. He declines the call at first, but when she calls again, he picks up and tells her he's trapped in the underground passage of the subway and can't find an exit. She again asks what she should do about the pregnancy. He recalls how earlier on the subway, a baby was crying and the mother was being scolded by a passenger, while everyone, including him, pretended not to see anything, buried in their phones. He breaks down and admits he doesn't think he can be a good father as he continues walking forward. Then we suddenly see his ex standing right behind him as he talks. The man soon hangs up, only to find the exit number has reset to 0, which horrifies him. This proves that the phone call itself was just another anomaly, since there isn't even any cell signal here. Devastated, the man prepares to start all over again, and is horrified to see the hallway has turned completely yellow. His asthma worsens, he collapses in rage and despair and seems to give up. But after some time, he gathers the last of his courage and decides to turn around. Immediately, he finds himself back at Exit 1. The lost man continues his journey and soon notices a small boy in the hallway. He assumes it's another anomaly and turns around to leave, but this time the sign shows Exit 0, which means it wasn't an anomaly at all. The kid is a real person. Moments later, he sees the boy again and asks if he's lost, but the boy doesn't answer and just runs away. The child reaches the central hall and silently points toward the old man. At this point, the movie shifts to the POV of the old guy, now called the Walking Man. We cut back to earlier, where we see that he too is trapped in this endless loop, just like the lost man. He had managed to reach Exit 4, where he met the same kid and decided to help him. As they walk through the hallway, they carefully inspect everything, and we see a girl passing by each time. The pair eventually reach Exit 5, which thrills the Walking Man, as only 3 more levels remain between him and freedom. They return to the hallway, still checking for anomalies, when the same girl suddenly approaches the man. She says she is lost and can't find the exit, and asks if she can join them. The Walking Man agrees, and the 3 of them continue, inspecting their surroundings. But the girl's behavior becomes strange. She keeps asking why he would even want to leave, saying things like, "Isn't the daily grind of crowded trains and office work more stressful than staying here?" She repeats this idea over and over in an unsettling way. Then, without warning, her demeanor turns eerie and clearly unnatural. The man realizes she is an anomaly and quickly turns around with the boy. Relieved, he sees they have reached Exit 6. On the next round, the man doesn't see any obvious abnormalities. However, the boy notices a doorknob in the center of a door that wasn't there before, but he doesn't say anything and just stands there staring. The man doesn't understand and drags the kid away, only to discover they've been sent back to Exit 0 again. This causes the Walking Man to snap. He kicks the wall, angrily tears down the instruction sign, and screams that he was supposed to visit his child today. But then he sees the kid watching him from a distance.
Feeling guilty, the man apologizes for his outburst and suggests they start again. They go back to the central hall, where they now see a staircase that appears to lead to an exit. The walking man is overjoyed and convinced they're finally escaping, so he rushes toward it. The kid senses it's just another anomaly and tries to stop him, but the desperate man shoves him to the ground and climbs the stairs alone. After the walking man disappears, the boy turns around and soon comes across the sign that says Exit 1, proving he was right. He continues down the hallway and later sees the walking man again, now moving with a blank, emotionless face. The kid tries to approach him, but the man doesn't respond at all, like an NPC with no soul. Horrified, the boy continues alone and eventually encounters our main protagonist, the lost man. When the lost man understands that the boy is not an anomaly, they decide to go on together. The boy soon notices the anomaly warning symbol on the overhead board, but he remains silent and just stares at it. The lost man doesn't get it, and they end up at exit 0 again, which means they have to restart. In the next round, the lost man stares at one of the murals on the wall and assumes something about it looks different. The boy doesn't seem interested and simply walks straight ahead, leaving the man no choice but to follow. They soon reach the Exit 1 sign, which proves the boy was right about taking that path. In the following level, the lost man doesn't notice anything wrong, but the boy stops in front of a door and stares at it like before. The man checks the door and spots a strange knob in the middle that wasn't there earlier. They immediately turn around and reach Exit 2, and the man realizes this boy has sharp instincts and incredible observational skills. Moving into the next level, the lights in the hallway suddenly go out, forcing him to use his phone's flashlight. The ventilation door creaks open and blood begins dripping from it, along with unpleasant, eerie sounds. The man freezes in fear as he hears rats screeching and a baby crying. When he looks up at the vent, a horrifying figure stares back at him. Panicking, he somehow manages to turn around, grabs the boy, and runs while strange rats chase them. Luckily, they reach Exit 3.
Later, they return to the hallway, where a woman stands motionless in the center, staring directly at them. The boy suddenly speaks for the first time, calling out "Mama," but the lost man realizes she is just another anomaly and stops the boy, causing the poor child to pass out in his arms. They soon make it to Exit 4, where the boy eventually wakes up. The lost man asks if he got separated from his mom. The boy explains that he actually got separated on purpose, hoping she would come after him. The lost man quietly admits that he did something similar once, and they both realize they're afraid of their mothers in different ways. As they talk, they discover something else they share. Neither of them has ever met their father. In the next level, the boy points out that the number 8 on the sign is upside down this time. They turn around immediately and successfully reach Exit 5. They return to the central hall, where they suddenly find one of the doors open. The lost man checks inside and hears a child crying, then sees another version of himself in the subway crowd, just like at the beginning of the movie. Realizing it's clearly an anomaly, he shuts the door and turns back with the boy. They manage to reach Exit 6. Before going on, the lost man asks the boy what he wants to do first if they ever get out. The boy says he wants to eat a cheese-filled pizza. The lost man isn't sure what he would do. The kid then hands him a snail shell as a thank you gift, saying it will protect him. They continue their journey, excited because only 2 exits remain. They carefully check each item in the hallway when suddenly a loud alarm blares and a massive wave of water crashes toward them. The terrified pair tries to turn around, but they can't outrun the flood, which completely engulfs them. The scene suddenly cuts to a peaceful beach where we see the lost man enjoying a day out with his girlfriend and their child. The kid hands his dad the same snail shell, revealing that the boy from the hallway is actually his son. Overcome with emotion, the man hugs his son tightly and they play and laugh together in the water. Back in the flooded hallway, the lost man desperately tries to save the boy and lifts him up onto the overhead signpost to keep him above the water. The boy is safe, but the man can't resist the powerful current and is swept away. Sometime later, the water recedes. The boy wakes up amid the wreckage with no sign of the lost man anywhere. He continues on alone and finally reaches the 7th exit. In the final round, the boy inspects everything around him and doesn't find any anomalies, so he walks straight ahead and leaves. A little while later, the lost man reappears, still alive. He carefully checks each corner and concludes there is no anomaly this time. Summoning all his courage, he moves forward until he reaches exit 8 and sees a staircase in the distance. Hope fills him as he looks at the snail shell and heads toward the stairs. Everything looks normal. There are rushing commuters, and his phone even regains signal, which means he's finally out of the nightmare. He immediately calls his ex-girlfriend, who is still in the hospital, and tells her he's on his way to see her, clearly having changed his mind about the baby. But then, when he boards a subway train, something unsettling happens again. He hears the same baby crying, sees the same passenger scolding the mother for bringing a child onto the subway during rush hour, and once again, everyone is glued to their phones, ignoring the situation. He freezes as the terrifying possibility hits him that he might still be stuck in the loop. This time, though, the lost man takes a stand. He finally turns around and confronts the bully who is yelling at the mother, just as the movie comes to an end.